Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your stack of info and we like to boil it down to the good stuff. Today, we are all about Redis, thanks to your excellent choice of Redis for Dummies.
Excellent choice, I must say.
It's a database technology that is making waves, and we're here to figure out why.
Well, Redis is fascinating because it blends speed and versatility like no other database out there. Think of it as the difference between walking to the store and teleporting there.
Okay.
Redis is all about that instant access.
Teleporting to the store for snacks. Okay, I'm sold. So our mission today is to understand what Redis is, what makes it so powerful, and why it's become so popular, especially for high-performance websites and apps.
You got it. So let's start by setting the stage with the whole NoSQL revolution.
Okay.
Imagine a world where databases weren't just rows and columns,
Right.
but could hold anything. Tweets, sensor readings, cat videos.
Wow.
All organized for lightning-fast access. That's the essence of NoSQL?
The Wild West of databases. I
Yay.
like it. So it's less about rigid structure and more about handling massive amounts of data,
That's right.
the kind that doesn't fit neatly into spreadsheets.
Exactly. Traditional relational databases are great for structured information, but NoSQL is all about speed and scale, especially for unstructured data.
Okay.
And within NoSQL, you have different approaches, key value stores,
So-
document databases, graph databases, and column databases.
Gotcha.
Each has its own strength.
Okay, so Redis falls under this NoSQL umbrella.
Yes.
The book calls it multi-model.
Yeah.
Which sounds pretty intriguing. What does that even mean in the database world?
Multi-model means Redis isn't limited to just one way of storing data. It's like having a toolbox with different compartments for various types of information. You've got strings for text, lists for ordered items, sets for unique values, and more. This gives developers flexibility to choose the best fit for their needs.
So Redis is less like a specialized tool and more like a Swiss Army knife of databases.
That's a great analogy. And on top of that, Redis stores everything in RAM, which is incredibly fast.
Right.
And can be configured to save that data to disk for safekeeping.
I'm starting to see why people are excited about this.
Yeah.
But let's get practical. Where's Redis actually being used?
The book mentions session management, which sounds a bit technical.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for us?
Imagine you're shopping online and you add items to your cart.
Okay.
Even if you close the browser and come back later,
Yep.
the website remembers your selections. That's session management.
Okay.
And Redis is perfect for it because it's so fast, it can keep track of thousands of users simultaneously without any lag.
So it's all about that smooth, responsive experience we've come to expect online.
Right.
No more frustrating delays. I can definitely get behind that. What other real-world scenarios benefit from Redis's speed?
Social media is a prime example.
Okay.
Think about the constant stream of chats,
Right.
follows, and updates. Redis handles that kind of real-time data like a champ, ensuring a seamless experience for millions of users. Okay, so keeping up with the social media frenzy.
Yes.
What else?
Search engines.
Okay.
They're another area where Redis shines. Imagine searching for something on Amazon and the results pop up instantly.
Yeah.
Redis can make that happen by indexing massive product catalogs and powering those autocomplete features we all rely on.
So Redis is the behind-the-scenes hero of many online experiences. It's not just about storing data. It's actively shaping how we interact with information. I'm curious, though, the book also mentions Redis being used for caching. What's that all about?
Think of Redis as a middleman between your application and a slower primary database. It stores frequently accessed data in RAM.
Right.
So when your app needs that information, it gets it from Redis instantly instead of waiting for the main database to churn.
So Redis is like a VIP shortcut for data access.
It is.
That makes a lot of sense for speed.
Yep.
Now, the book also mentions something called Redis on Flash.
Yeah,
Does that have something to do with those massive data sets we hear about these days?
you got it. Redis on Flash allows Redis to use flash memory, which is much cheaper than RAM, but still very fast. This means you can work with truly huge data sets, we're talking terabytes and beyond, without breaking the bank.
Terabytes. My brain just did a backflip. So Redis isn't just for small-scale operations. It can handle the big leagues of data.
Absolutely. And here's something else that might surprise you. Redis has its own built-in search engine called Redisearch.
Wait, hold on. It has its own search engine.
Yes.
Is it like having Google inside Redis?
It's pretty close. Think Google-like search capabilities, but 5 times faster than standalone search engines. You get autocomplete, result highlighting, and a lightning-fast performance, all within Redis.
5 times faster. That's mind-blowing. How does it even achieve that level of speed?
It all comes down to how Redis is designed. It's built from the ground up for speed and efficiency. And because it stores data in RAM, it can access and process information with incredible speed. There's no waiting for hard drives to spin up or complex queries to execute. It's just instant results.
Okay, this is all incredibly impressive, but I'm starting to wonder, is Redis just for tech giants with massive resources? Can smaller companies and developers benefit from it as well?
That's a great question. And the answer is a resounding yes. Redis is incredibly versatile and can be used for projects of all sizes. Its speed and flexibility can bring significant benefits even for smaller applications. And if you need to scale up, Redis can grow with you.
So it's not just for the big players, it's a tool for everyone.
Exactly. Whether you're building a small web application, a mobile app, or even a complex enterprise system, Redis can bring significant performance and efficiency gains. It's a technology that's worth considering for any data-driven project.
That's great to hear. So we've covered session management, social media search, caching, and even handling massive data sets. It sounds like Redis is trying to be the one-stop shop for all things data. But what about businesses with really demanding needs, the ones that need rock-solid reliability and massive scalability? The book mentioned something called Redis Enterprise, which sounds intriguing.
Yes.
What's the story there?
Redis Enterprise is like Redis on steroids, designed for businesses that need to handle mission-critical operations. It takes everything great about Redis and amplifies it, offering even more power, flexibility, and reliability.
Okay, Redis on steroids, now you're talking my language. Can you give us some concrete examples of what sets Redis Enterprise apart? What makes it the big brother of regular Redis?
First of all, you get easy scaling. As your needs grow, you can add more Redis nodes to handle the increased load, and Redis Enterprise will automatically distribute the data and traffic across those nodes.
Okay.
It's like having an elastic database that expands and contracts as needed.
That's a game changer for businesses that experience rapid growth or unpredictable traffic spikes. It's like having a database that can keep up with your wildest dreams. What else makes Redis Enterprise so appealing?
High availability. That's
Yeah.
another major benefit. Redis Enterprise uses a technique called active replication, which means you have multiple copies of your data running simultaneously in different locations. So if one system goes down, the others can seamlessly take over, ensuring that your data is always accessible.
That's like having a backup generator for your data. Always there to keep the lights on no matter what happens. I'm sensing a theme here. Redis Enterprise is all about peace of mind for businesses that can't afford any downtime. Anything else we should add to the list?
Multi-model capabilities are another key feature.
Okay.
Just like regular Redis, Redis Enterprise supports multiple data types.
Right.
So you can choose the best fit for your application. But it takes things a step further by offering even more specialized modules for things like full-text search, graph databases, and time series data. It's like having a toolbox with every tool imaginable.
So it's not just about speed and reliability, it's about having the right tools for the job, whatever that job might be. I'm impressed. But let's back up for a second. How do businesses actually use Redis Enterprise? Do they have to install and manage it themselves, or is there an easier way?
You have options. You can install Redis Enterprise as software on your own servers, or you can choose Redis Cloud, their fully managed service. With Redis Client, you don't have to worry about any of the technical details.
Right.
They handle everything for you, from setup and configuration to ongoing maintenance and security.
So it's like having your own dedicated Redis team, but without the overhead of hiring and managing them yourself.
That's right.
That sounds pretty appealing, especially for businesses that want to focus on their core operations rather than database management. Anything else we should know about Redis Enterprise before we move on?
One more thing that makes Redis Enterprise stand out is its integration with Docker containers. This means you can deploy Redis Enterprise in a variety of environments, including on-premises servers, cloud platforms, and even hybrid setups. It gives you incredible flexibility and portability, allowing you to adapt to changing business needs.
Docker containers. Now there's another rabbit hole for us to explore someday. But let's stick with Redis for now. The book actually includes a simple application example to show how Redis works in practice. Can you give us a quick overview of what that example entails without getting too bogged down in the technical details?
Absolutely. The example is a basic CR UD application.
Yep.
Create read, update, delete,
Gotcha.
which are the fundamental operations for interacting with data. It showcases how Redis uses various data types like sets, lists, and hashes to store and manipulate information.
So it's like a hands-on demonstration of how Redis can power those everyday interactions we have with data,
Yes.
whether we're shopping online, sending messages, or searching for information.
Exactly. The example highlights the elegance and simplicity of Redis, showing how it can handle these fundamental operations with speed and efficiency.
Okay, so we've seen the practical side of Redis in action, but the book also goes deeper into some of the more advanced concepts, like something called active replication, which we touched upon earlier. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important,
Yeah.
especially for businesses that need their data to be available 24/7?
Active replication is a game changer for businesses that can't afford any downtime. Imagine you have two separate Redis clusters,
Oh.
each holding a copy of your data.
Hmm.
In an active setup, both clusters are actively handling requests. So even if one cluster goes down, the other can seamlessly take over without skipping a beat.
It's like having an insurance policy for your data, always there to keep things running smoothly no matter what happens. But how do you ensure that those two clusters stay perfectly synchronized? Wouldn't you run into conflicts if both clusters are making changes to the data at the same time?
That's where the magic of CRDTs comes in. CRDTs, or conflict-free replicated data types, are specially designed data types that handle concurrent updates without any conflicts. So, even if changes are happening on both clusters simultaneously, the data always converges to a consistent state with no data loss.
CRDTs, it's like they've invented self-healing data. I'm trying to wrap my head around how that actually works. Can you walk me through a scenario where CRDTs would really make a difference?
Imagine a ride-sharing app like Uber or Lyft. They need to know where drivers are at all times to efficiently match them with riders.
Right.
Let's say you have multiple Redis clusters, each tracking the location of drivers in a specific geographic area. As drivers move around, their location data is constantly being updated in those clusters.
Okay.
Now imagine there's a network disruption between two clusters.
Right.
Without CRDTs, you'd have inconsistent data, potentially leading to mismatched rides and frustrated customers. But with CRDTs, the data stays consistent even during network outages. When the connection is restored, the clusters automatically merge their changes without any conflicts, ensuring that you always have an accurate view of where all the drivers are.
That's an incredible example. It's like having a GPS system that never loses its signal, even when you're driving through a tunnel. I'm starting to see how CRDTs can be a game changer for any application that relies on real-time data synchronization. But before we get too carried away with all the technical details, let's take a step back and address something that's probably on everyone's mind: security.
Yeah.
With all this talk about speed, scalability, and distributed data, how does Redis handle the critical aspect of keeping data safe and secure?
That's an excellent question, and it's something that Redis takes very seriously. Both Redis Open Source and Redis Enterprise offer a range of security features to protect your data. One of the fundamental features is access control lists, or ACLs. ACLs allow you to restrict who can access your Redis instance and what they can do. You can define specific users or groups and grant them different levels of access. For example, you might have a group of administrators who have full access to all data and commands, while other users might only have read-only access to certain data sets.
So it's like having a security guard at the door of your Redis instance,
Exactly.
checking everyone's credentials and only letting in those who are authorized.
That's right. And to add another layer of protection, Redis also supports transport layer security, or TLS. TLS encrypts the data in transit between your application and the Redis instance, ensuring that sensitive information stays safe from prying eyes, even if it's intercepted along the way. It's like sending your data in a sealed envelope rather than an open postcard.
That's reassuring to hear. It sounds like Redis has a solid foundation for security. But what about Redis Enterprise? Does it offer any additional security features beyond what's available in the open source version?
Absolutely. Redis Enterprise takes security to the next level with even more robust features. One of the key enhancements is role-based access control, or RBAC.
Okay.
RBAC goes beyond basic ACLs by allowing you to define granular permissions for different users and groups based on their roles within your organization. This means you can control access to specific datasets, commands, and even individual keys within your Redis database with incredible precision. It's like having a highly customized security system that's tailored to your specific needs.
That's impressive. It sounds like Redis Enterprise is designed for businesses that take security very seriously. Anything else we should add to the list of security features?
One more important feature is auditing. Redis Enterprise allows you to track all activity on your Redis instance, providing a detailed log of who did what, when, and from where. This is crucial for maintaining accountability, troubleshooting issues, and complying with industry regulations that require detailed activity logs for security and compliance audits. It's like having a security camera that records everything happening in your Redis database so you can always go back and review the footage if needed.
So Redis Enterprise is like Fort Knox for data security, offering multiple layers of protection and detailed tracking to ensure that your information is always safe and sound. That's a huge relief, especially for businesses handling sensitive customer data or financial transactions. But before we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Redis, I want to address something that I've often heard about NoSQL databases in general. The idea that they're not as reliable or durable as traditional relational databases. Is there any truth to that claim?
That's a common misconception. And it's important to understand that NoSQL databases, including Redis, have come a long way in terms of reliability and durability. In the early days of NoSQL, there was a trade-off between performance and durability. To achieve high performance, some NoSQL databases sacrificed some of the guarantees that relational databases offered, like ACID properties, which stand for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. But as NoSQL databases have matured, they've incorporated features that provide similar levels of reliability and durability without compromising performance.
So the idea that NoSQL databases are inherently less reliable is outdated and no longer accurate.
Exactly. Redis, in particular, offers several mechanisms to ensure data durability. As we discussed earlier, Redis can be configured to persist data to disk either periodically or after every update. This means that even if the server crashes or loses power, your data is safely stored on disk and can be recovered when the server restarts. Redis also supports replication, which means you can have multiple copies of your data stored on different servers. This not only improves performance by distributing the load, but also provides redundancy in case one server fails.
So it's like having a backup copy of your data just in case something happens to the original.
Exactly. And with Redis Enterprise, you get even more advanced replication options, like active replication, which we discussed earlier. Active replication ensures that your data is always available, even in the event of a server failure, by maintaining multiple active copies of your data that can handle requests simultaneously. It's like having a team of data guardians always on standby to protect your information.
Okay, so we've debunked the myth that NoSQL databases are unreliable. Redis, in particular, offers a range of features to ensure data durability and high availability, rivaling the capabilities of traditional relational databases. But let's be honest, every technology has its strengths and weaknesses. Are there any scenarios where Redis might not be the best choice? Are there any limitations or potential drawbacks that we should be aware of?
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that Redis, like any technology, is not a silver bullet. It's not the perfect solution for every problem, and there are some scenarios where other technologies might be a better fit. One of the key things to consider is the nature of your data and how you need to access it. Redis excels at handling structured data that can be represented as keys and values, lists, sets, or hashes. But if your data is highly relational and requires complex queries involving joins and relationships between different tables, a relational database might be a more suitable choice. Relational databases are designed to handle complex data models and relationships, while Redis is more focused on speed and simplicity.
So if you're dealing with highly structured data that doesn't require complex relational queries, Redis is a great choice. But if you need to model complex relationships between different data entities, a relational database might be a better fit.
Exactly. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job. Another thing to keep in mind is that Redis is primarily an in-memory database. This means that while it's incredibly fast, its capacity is limited by the amount of RAM available on the server. If you're dealing with massive datasets that exceed the available RAM, you'll need to either use Redis on flash or consider other technologies that are designed for storing large datasets on disk.
So Redis is a speed demon, but it's not a bottomless pit for data storage. You need to be mindful of the RAM limitations, especially if you're dealing with massive datasets. Anything else we should add to the list of potential drawbacks?
One more thing to consider is the learning curve. While Redis is relatively easy to get started with, it does have a rich set of features and commands that can take some time to master. If your team is new to NoSQL databases or doesn't have experience with Redis specifically, there might be some initial ramp-up time as they learn the ropes. But the good news is that there are tons of resources available to help you get up to speed quickly, including the Redis for Dummies book we're discussing today.
That's reassuring to hear. It sounds like even though there's a learning curve, it's not insurmountable. And with the abundance of resources available, anyone can become proficient in Redis with a little effort and dedication. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into Redis, from the basics of NoSQL to the advanced features of Redis Enterprise, and even touched upon some potential drawbacks to consider. I'm already blown away by how versatile and powerful this technology is. But before we take a break, I want to circle back to something that really piqued my curiosity earlier: the concept of CRDTs. You mentioned that they're specially designed data types that handle concurrent updates without conflicts, which sounds almost too good to be true. Can you explain in a bit more detail how CRDTs actually achieve this magical feat? How do they ensure that data stays consistent even when multiple systems are making changes at the same time?
Absolutely. CRDTs are fascinating because they work on a fundamentally different principle than traditional methods for handling concurrent updates. Instead of relying on locks or transactions, which can be complex and prone to deadlocks, CRDTs are designed to be inherently conflict-free. This means that no matter what order updates are applied, the data will always converge to a consistent state. It's like having a self-solving puzzle where each piece can be added in any order and the final picture will always be the same.
A self-solving puzzle for data. I love it. But how does that actually work in practice? Can you give us a concrete example to illustrate the power of CRDTs?
Let's go back to our ride-sharing example. Imagine two drivers are simultaneously updating their location in different Redis clusters. Without CRDTs, you could end up with a situation where one cluster shows a driver at one location, while the other cluster shows the driver at a completely different location. This would be a nightmare for the ride-sharing app, as it wouldn't know which location is correct.
That sounds like a recipe for chaos. So how do CRDTs save the day?
CRDTs solve this problem by using special data types that are designed to be merged without conflicts. Let's say we're using a CRDT called a G counter, which is a counter that can only be incremented. Imagine each Redis cluster has a G counter that tracks the number of times a driver has updated their location. When a driver updates their location in one cluster, the G counter in that cluster is incremented. When the clusters synchronize, they simply merge their G counters by taking the maximum value. So if one cluster has a count of 5 and the other has a count of 7, the merged count will be 7, reflecting the most up-to-date information.
So it's like each cluster is keeping its own tally, and when they come back together, they just pick the highest number, ensuring they have the most recent update. That's brilliant. No more conflicting data or confusion about which location is correct. I'm starting to see the elegance and power of CRDTs. But I have one more question before we take a break. You mentioned that there are different types of CRDTs. Can you give us a quick overview of some of the most common types and how they're used?
Absolutely. There are two main categories of CRDTs: state-based CRDTs and operation-based CRDTs. State-based CRDTs, like the G counter we just discussed, focus on replicating the state of the data. They work by merging the states of different replicas using specific rules that guarantee consistency. Operation-based CRDTs, on the other hand, focus on replicating the operations that are applied to the data. They work by applying the same sequence of operations to all replicas, ensuring that they all reach the same final state.
Okay, so state-based CRDTs are like syncing up snapshots of the data, while operation-based CRDTs are like syncing up the instructions for how to build the data.
That's a great way to put it. Within each category, there are several specific types of CRDTs, each designed for different use cases. For example, there are CRDTs for sets, maps, counters, registers, and even more complex data structures. The choice of which CRDT to use depends on the specific needs of your application and how you need to handle concurrent updates.
So it's like having a toolbox full of specialized tools for handling different types of data in a distributed environment. That's incredible. I'm starting to see how CRDTs are unlocking new possibilities for building robust, scalable, and highly available applications.
Yes.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into Redis, from the basics of NoSQL to the advanced features of Redis Enterprise.
Oh.
We've explored the many facets of this remarkable technology, and we've even delved into the fascinating world of CRDTs,
Right.
which are changing the game for data consistency in distributed systems. But before we dive into even more exciting aspects of Redis in part 2, let's take a quick break to let all this information sink in. When we come back, we'll explore some real-world use cases of Redis,
Sounds good.
discuss its role in the future of technology, and maybe even uncover some hidden gems that you might not have known about. So stay tuned, and we'll be back soon with more Redis awesomeness.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back to the deep dive. Before the break, we were unraveling the magic of CRDTs and how they ensure data consistency even in the face of network hiccups.
I'm still reeling from that. It's like Redis has a built-in time machine for data,
Uh,
but I'm eager to hear more about how all of this Redis wizardry is being applied in the real world.
That's what makes Redis so captivating. It's not just theoretical, it's powering some of the most dynamic applications we use every day.
So let's get down to brass tacks. What are some specific examples of companies using Redis to create those wow moments for their users?
Let's start with e-commerce. Think about the last time you added something to your shopping cart only to get distracted by, a cat video, like a responsible adult.
Guilty as charged.
When you came back, those items were still there patiently waiting.
But how does Redis make that seemingly simple feat possible?
It's all about session management, remember. Redis stores your cart data in RAM, making it lightning fast to retrieve. This creates a seamless experience, even if thousands of shoppers are browsing simultaneously.
So no more lost cart woes, which is a win for both shoppers and businesses. What other examples showcase Redis's ability to enhance user experience?
Imagine searching for something on Amazon.
Okay,
Millions of products.
right.
But the results appear in the blink of an eye. That's Redis at work, indexing those massive product catalogs and powering the autocomplete feature we all rely on.
It's like having a personal shopper who anticipates your every need. So Redis is the secret sauce behind those smooth, intuitive online experiences we often take for granted.
Precisely. And it's not just about speed and convenience. Redis can also play a crucial role in protecting businesses and their customers.
Intrigued. Tell me more.
Think about fraud detection. Redis can analyze user behavior patterns in real time, flagging suspicious activity before it turns into a problem. This helps e-commerce sites prevent fraudulent transactions, saving them money and protecting their reputation.
It's like having a digital detective on the case, constantly monitoring for any signs of foul play.
Exactly. And the applications extend beyond e-commerce.
Right.
The gaming industry is another arena where Redis shines.
Now, that's a world I know well. Always wondered how those massive multiplayer online games manage to handle so many players interacting in real time.
Redis is a key part of the equation. It manages those interactions, ensuring a smooth and responsive gaming experience, even during peak hours when thousands of players are battling it out in virtual worlds.
It's like the invisible hand orchestrating those epic virtual battles, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Precisely. And while we're on the topic of real-time action,
Okay.
Redis can also power real-time analytics,
Mhm.
providing instant insights into what's happening right now.
So it's like having a dashboard that shows you the pulse of your business, moment by moment.
Exactly. Imagine tracking website traffic, user behavior, or sensor readings as they happen. Redis can process that data on the fly, giving businesses valuable insights into their operations.
It's like having a crystal ball that shows you exactly what's working and what's not, allowing you to make data-driven decisions in real time.
And the beauty of it is that Redis can be combined with other technologies to create even more powerful solutions.
So it's not just a standalone hero. It can team up with other tools to create a data-driven dream team.
Exactly. For example, you can use Redis to cache data from a traditional database,
Okay.
giving you the best of both worlds. The structure and reliability of a relational database coupled with the speed and agility of Redis.
It's like having a dynamic duo, combining the strengths of two different approaches to create something truly remarkable.
Precisely. And as we move into a world of increasingly complex applications and ever-growing data sets, Redis is poised to play an even more crucial role.
So Redis isn't just a passing fad, it's a technology that's here to stay, shaping the future of how we interact with data.
Absolutely. Its ability to handle data at scale in real time and with incredible flexibility makes it an essential tool for any business that wants to stay ahead of the curves.
I'm sold on Redis. But before we lose ourselves in the excitement of all its possibilities, we're going to take a step back and talk about something that's often overlooked: security.
Yeah.
With all this data flying around at lightning speed, how does Redis ensure that it stays safe and protected?
That's a critical question. And thankfully, Redis takes security very seriously.
So it's not just about speed and performance, it's about building a fortress around your data.
Exactly. Both Redis Open Source and Redis Enterprise offer a robust set of security features to keep your data safe from unauthorized access and malicious attacks.
Okay, walk me through some of those security measures. What are the key features that make Redis a safe haven for data?
One of the fundamental security features is access control lists, or ACLs.
Okay.
These allow you to define granular permissions for different users and groups, controlling who can access your Redis instance and what actions they can perform.
So it's like having a security guard at the gate, checking IDs, and only letting authorized personnel through.
Precisely. And to protect data in transit, Redis supports Transport Layer Security, or TLS. This encrypts the data as it travels between your application and the Redis instance, making it much harder for eavesdroppers to intercept sensitive information.
So even if someone manages to peek into the data stream, they'll only see gibberish.
Exactly. It's like sending your data in a secret code that only the intended recipient can decipher.
That's reassuring. But I'm curious, does Redis Enterprise offer even more advanced security features compared to the open source version?
Absolutely. Redis Enterprise takes security to the next level with features like role-based access control, which allows you to define permissions based on users' roles within your organization.
So it's like having different security clearances, granting access based on need-to-know principles.
Precisely. And to enhance accountability, Redis Enterprise provides detailed auditing capabilities, allowing you to track all activity on your Redis instance. Who made what changes, when, and from where.
It's like having a surveillance system for your data, recording every action for future review.
Exactly. This level of auditing is crucial for compliance with industry regulations and for identifying potential security breaches.
Okay, I'm feeling much more secure knowing that Redis has all these safeguards in place. But before we move on, I want to address a common misconception I've heard about NoSQL databases. The idea that they're not as reliable or durable as traditional relational databases.
That's a myth that needs busting. NoSQL databases, including Redis, have come a long way in terms of reliability and durability.
So it's not a case of sacrificing reliability for speed.
Not at all. Redis offers several mechanisms to ensure data durability. As we discussed earlier, you can configure Redis to persist data to disk,
Okay.
either periodically or after every update.
So even if the server crashes, your data is safely backed up on disk.
Exactly. And with Redis Enterprise, you get even more sophisticated replication options like active-active replication,
Right.
which ensures that your data is always accessible, even in the face of hardware failures.
It's like having an unbreakable safety net for your data.
Precisely. So the old notion that NoSQL databases are less reliable is simply not true anymore. Redis has evolved to provide both high performance and rock-solid reliability.
I'm loving this deep dive into Redis. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, revealing more and more intriguing aspects with each layer.
And we've only just begun.
Wow.
There's so much more to explore.
Right.
From the intricacies of Redis modules to the expanding universe of Redis use cases.
I can't wait. But before we venture further, I think our brains could use a little recharge. When we come back, we'll delve into the exciting world of Redis modules, uncover some hidden gems you might not have known about, and discuss the role Redis is playing in shaping the future of technology. Stay tuned for more Redis revelations. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've journeyed through the heart of Redis, exploring its speed, versatility, and real-world impact. It's like discovering a secret weapon for building amazing applications.
And we've only just scratched the surface. Redis is constantly evolving with new modules and features emerging all the time.
That's what makes it so exciting. It's a technology that keeps pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to make sure we capture the key takeaways. If someone is just starting their Redis journey, what are the absolute must-knows?
First and foremost, remember that Redis is not a one-trick pony. It's not just a caching layer.
Right.
It's a multifaceted tool that can be used in countless ways.
Oh.
Think of it as a Swiss Army knife for data management,
Okay.
equipped to handle a variety of tasks.
Swiss Army knife for data. I'm adding that to my mental notes.
Well,
What else should we highlight?
next, I'd emphasize the speed factor. Redis is built for performance. If you need to access data quickly,
Right.
whether it's for a website, an
Right.
application,
Right.
or real-time analytics, Redis is your go-to solution.
Speed, check. It's like the difference between taking a leisurely stroll and hopping on a supersonic jet.
And finally, I'd highlight the flexibility of Redis. It can handle different data types, it can be deployed in various ways,
Right.
and it can even be combined with other technologies to create even more powerful solutions. It's a technology that adapts to your needs rather than forcing you to adapt to its limitations.
Flexibility, check.
Yeah.
It's like having a custom-tailored suit for your data, ensuring a perfect fit for any occasion.
Well said. And one more thing I'd add is that Redis has a vibrant and supportive community. If you're looking to learn more or get help with your Redis projects, there are countless resources available online,
Yeah.
including forums, tutorials, and documentation.
That's a crucial point. A strong community can make all the difference, providing guidance and support when you need it most.
Absolutely. And with that, I think we've given our listeners a pretty solid overview of Redis.
Yeah.
But before we sign off, I want to share something that really excites me about Redis: the potential it holds for the future of technology.
Now you're speaking my language. I'm always eager to hear about the next big thing. What's on the horizon for Redis?
Well, as you know, we're living in an era of unprecedented data growth. Every day, we're generating more and more data from sources like social media,
Hmm.
mobile devices, sensors, and the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
And this trend is only going to accelerate in the years to come.
Yeah.
Redis, with its ability to handle data at scale, in real time, and with incredible flexibility, is perfectly positioned to play a pivotal role in this data-driven future.
So Redis isn't just keeping up with the data explosion, it's leading the charge.
Exactly. We're already seeing Redis being used in cutting-edge fields like artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
machine learning, and real-time analytics.
Okay.
It's powering the applications that are transforming industries, from healthcare and finance to transportation and entertainment.
I'm picturing Redis as the engine behind self-driving cars, personalized medicine, and even smarter cat videos.
And who knows what other amazing applications we'll see in the years to come. The possibilities with Redis are truly limitless.
That's an inspiring thought to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
But before we get carried away with visions of the future,
Okay.
I want to bring things back down to earth and talk about something we briefly touched on earlier: Redis modules.
Yeah.
Can you explain what these modules are and why they're such a game changer for Redis users?
Redis modules are like superpowers that you can add to your Redis instance,
Hmm.
extending its capabilities beyond its core functionality.
Good.
They're like plugins or extensions that allow you to tailor Redis to your specific needs, whether you need to work with different data types, perform specialized operations, or integrate with other systems.
So it's like transforming Redis from a multi-tool into a full-blown workshop, equipped with every tool imaginable.
That's a great analogy. And the best part is that there's a whole ecosystem of Redis modules available, created both by the Redis community and by third-party developers. This means you can find modules for almost anything you can think of, from full-text search and graph databases to JSON manipulation and geospatial indexing.
That's incredible. It's like having a buffet of superpowers, allowing you to create the ultimate Redis experience tailored to your specific needs. Can you give us some examples of particularly cool or useful Redis modules that our listeners might want to check out?
Absolutely. One of my favorites is Redis Search, which we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
It turns Redis into a powerful search engine,
Right.
allowing you to perform complex queries on your data with lightning-fast speed.
Redis Search, it's like having Google built right into your Redis instance, providing instant answers to your most pressing data questions.
Exactly. Another module worth mentioning is Redis JSON, which allows you to store and manipulate JSON documents directly within Redis. This is incredibly useful for working with data from modern web and mobile applications, which often use JSON as their primary data format.
Redis JSONs. It's like having a universal translator for the language of the web, making it seamless to work with data from all sorts of sources.
Precisely. And if you're working with geospatial data, there's a module called Redis Gears that allows you to perform location-based queries and calculations. This is perfect for applications like ride-sharing services, logistics platforms, and even social networks that want to show you nearby friends or events.
Redis Gears. It's like having a GPS system built right into your database, allowing you to navigate the world of geospatial data with ease.
And these are just a few examples of the many amazing Redis modules available. The possibilities are truly endless, limited only by your imagination and the needs of your application.
I'm starting to see Redis modules as the secret ingredient for unlocking the full potential of Redis, taking it from a powerful tool to a truly transformative technology. But before we get too carried away with all these exciting possibilities, I want to bring things back down to earth for a moment and talk about something we've been dancing around throughout this deep dive: the learning curve. You mentioned earlier that while Redis is relatively easy to get started with, it does have a rich set of features and commands that can take some time to master. For someone who's just starting their Redis journey, what advice would you give them to make the learning process as smooth and enjoyable as possible?
That's a great question. Learning any new technology can be daunting, especially one as powerful and versatile as Redis. But don't worry, the Redis community is incredibly welcoming and supportive, and there are tons of resources available to help you along the way. Here are a few tips that I've found helpful over the years.
I'm all ears. Lay some wisdom on us.
First of all, don't try to learn everything at once.
Yeah.
Start with the basics, like the core data types and commands for storing, retrieving, and manipulating data. Once you have a solid foundation, you can gradually explore more advanced features like pub/sub,
Mhm.
transactions, and Lewis scripting.
So it's like building a house. Start with a strong foundation, then add the fancy features later.
Exactly. And speaking of building things, one of the best ways to learn Redis is by doing. Start with simple projects, like building a basic web application that uses Redis for session management or caching. As you gain more experience, you can tackle more complex projects, gradually expanding your skills and knowledge along the way.
So it's not just about reading books and watching tutorials. It's about rolling up your sleeves and getting your hands dirty with some real-world coding.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to experiment and make mistakes. That's how you learn best. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. The Redis community is vast and supportive, and there are countless forums, online communities, and even local meetups where you can connect with other Redis enthusiasts, ask questions, share your experiences, and learn from each other.
That's heartwarming to hear. It's like having a global network of Redis mentors, always ready to offer guidance and support. Well, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about Redis, from its humble beginnings as a caching layer to its current status as a data management powerhouse shaping the future of technology. I'm walking away from this deep dive feeling incredibly inspired and eager to explore the vast possibilities that Redis has to offer. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners before we sign off?
My final thought for our listeners is this. If you're working with data, especially data that needs to be accessed quickly and efficiently, Redis is a technology worth exploring. It's versatile, it's powerful, and it's constantly evolving to meet the demands of our increasingly data-driven world. So dive in, explore, experiment, and don't be afraid to push the boundaries of what's possible with Redis. You might just be surprised by what you can achieve.
Wise words from a true Redis master. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Redis. We'll be back next week with another fascinating topic from the world of technology. Until then, happy exploring, and may your data always be fast, reliable, and secure.